This is the most fun ROM hack I've played in a long time. Introducing Emerald Imperium, a ROM hack clearly inspired by Radical Red that takes place in, of course, the Hoenn region. This game comes equipped with a ton of incredible quality of life features, as well as having Pokemon up through Generation 9 available to the player, much harder fights, and custom Mega Evolution. Basically, every Pokemon that got a special Gigantamax form in Sword and Shield has that form turned into a Mega. So take Mega Machamp and Mega Grimmsnarl, for example. Not to mention the completely unique Megas given to all three Sinnoh starters, as well as some other Sinnoh fan favorites, but we'll get to those a little bit later. I wasn't just planning to play this game casually, although I guarantee that Emerald Imperium is one of, if not the single best casual Pokemon experience out there right now. I am a Nuzlocker at heart, and my goal was to beat this game as a hardcore Nuzlocke. This means no overleveling the next boss fight, although Imperium introduces hard level caps, making that impossible anyway. No items in battle, so no potions, full heals, all that nonsense. I can only catch the first Pokemon I see on every unique Met location, and if I lose all 6 Pokemon in a battle and white out, I have to start all the way from the very beginning. This is the story of how I beat Emerald Imperium as a hardcore Nuzlocke. Man, I was excited for this. I used to play a ton of Radical Red years ago, and this game was just the breath of fresh air I was looking for. I hopped out of the van, skipped through some court-ordered early game Pokemon dialogue, and was met with the single most important decision that any Pokemon player is met with: starter selection. Emerald Imperium makes it really tough on you, offering every single starter ever. I had my heart set on one very special cutie pie, however. We recently got some footage of Pokemon Legends ZA, and all I've seen on my Twitter feed is people talking badly about my precious, sweet Chikorita, and this game gives the bean the eventual fairy typing upon becoming Meganium. The Chikorita line is one of my all-time favorite starter lines, and to be completely honest, one of the best starter lines, period. I simply do not trust people who dislike Chikorita. This game eventually rewards the player with ability capsules and patches that let you change your Pokemon's ability at your own free will, and Meganium's hidden ability is Triage, which increases the priority of all healing moves. In case you're wondering, yes, that includes Giga Drain and Draining Kiss. Professor Birch also gave me a ton of useful items, mostly including damage-boosting held items, as well as the Shiny Charm, which is a lot of fun. Emerald Imperium's quality of life menu is honestly fantastic. With a simple press of the L button, you get access to your box, a Pokevial to heal your party, your Dex Nav, a Time Changer, and even an infinite repel. I picked up my first few encounters and leveled them all to the cap of 15 for Roxanne, as well as hatching a Togepi from a gift egg in Oldale Town, then made my way towards Rustboro City. Before Roxanne, it's important to mention my favorite part about Emerald Imperium. If you played Radical Red, I'm sure you remember the optional Johto gym leaders that are scattered around the Kanto region that give you different rewards after beating them. Well, Emerald Imperium has that as well, except it's the Sinnoh leaders. As well as my standard hardcore Nuzlocke rules, I decided to force myself to fight all 8 Sinnoh leaders as well as the mandatory 8 Hoenn leaders for a bit of extra challenge. First comes Roark, who as far as early game teams go, has a pretty tough one. Cranidos sporting a monstrous 125 attack stat at level 15 is terrifying, combined with sheer force to boost the power of their attacks even more. Listen to that music, by the way. The Sinnoh leaders all having the same theme as in Platinum is such a nice touch, and another reason why this game is incredibly charming. Roark leads with Shield on, which Nidoran is able to OHKO easily with a Black Belt boosted double kick. I'm easily most afraid of Cranidos, which immediately switches in next. Nidoran is only dead to a single roll of Rock Tomb, and I didn't end up getting any Rock-type resists for any of my encounters. I'm kind of forced at this point to play aggressively, since switching loses a lot of tempo, but Roark finds the only roll of Rock Tomb that KOs Nidoran, bringing us our first death of the run. Chinchu dodges the crit and picks up the KO with a series of bubbles, and a combination of Reflect and Synthesis keeps Chikorita healthy and safe enough to 1v1 Roark's Tyrunt with no problem. I take my Rock Tomb TM and Muscle Band and make my way towards the real target, Roxanne. Roxanne's team seems a lot less scary than Roark's, however. I mean, it's hard to beat a Cranidos without a single rock resist after all. Also, side note, but I love how the Hoenn leaders all have their signature Pokemon standing next to them like this. Once again, charmed by this game. It's worth mentioning at this point that in Emerald Imperium, the AI will be inclined to switch sometimes if it feels it's beneficial. I don't fully understand the extent of when and why the AI does it exactly, but most of the time it makes sense, I think. With that said, my plan here is to lead Spheal against her lead Rhyhorn, and bait it to switch into Paldea Wooper on the incoming Water Gun. Roxanne doesn't switch, however, and down goes Rhyhorn, which brings in her ace, Nosepass. Just like how Chikorita took down Roark's Tyrunt, they attempt to do the same to Nosepass, but an untimely paralysis from Thunderwave stopped me in my tracks. Chinchu switches in to take a shot at it, and Roxanne switches out into Wooper. This is what I was hoping to happen earlier. Slowpoke is my counter to Wooper, and it gave me a bit of an idea. I figured if I used Yawn on any given Pokemon, that they'll want to switch out to avoid getting put to sleep on the second turn. By abusing that, I was hoping to use Yawn to get some free damage on poorly timed swaps from Roxanne. The plan works perfectly, and eventually Chinchu is able to take care of the Nosepass. Gligar comes in for a Bulldoze on Chinchu, but switched out into Wooper for some reason. Another Yawn into Wooper forces the swap as Togetic swaps into Spheal, giving me the 1v1 I was hoping for. Gligar falls, and Arrokuda is barely able to finish off the Wooper after not only getting a huge bite crit, but dodging a massive crit as well. A final bite, which also was a crit, finishes off the axolotl and secures the first badge of Emerald Imperium. Hey, not to cut away too much from the Nuzlocking, but I wanted to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this video, Into the AM. Into the AM is a team of artists and creators that have been putting out what I seriously think are some of the cleanest and most comfortable clothing options out there. They're actually starting up a Memorial Day sale that spans from May 16th to June 1st, with up to 70% off the entire site. I genuinely wear Into the AM products almost every day. I would highly recommend picking up at least something from intotheam.com with my code Squerk for 10% off, which is on top of any sale that they may be running. It supports me, and you get some awesome clothes that are perfect for the inevitable blazing summer heat. My personal favorite is the Eternal Blossom tank. It's not only incredibly comfortable, but I mean, come on, look at that design. For as long as I make content, I only ever want to take sponsorships from companies that I would personally use and enjoy in my day-to-day life, and Into the AM is one that I can't recommend enough. I know ad reads and sponsorships can be met with a bit of an eye roll, but Into the AM in particular genuinely helps me create more content, and I appreciate anyone who does take the time to watch these or show interest. Remember, you can use code Squerk for 10% off at intotheam.com. Let's get back into the video. After beating Roxanne, the level cap jumps to 20, which lets some of my Pokemon evolve. The Aqua Grunt and Rusturf Tunnel gets pummeled by my newly evolved team, but the once optional rival fight in Rustboro is no longer an option in this game. I'm most worried about his Golbat lead, but thankfully Lanoon was able to handle it with no problem. Emerald Imperium allows the player to change their Pokemon's nature at their own free will, and making Lanoon adamant to boost its attack stat allowed her to safely 2-hit KO the bat. Anybody that's ever done a Nuzlocke of any game knows that having a Gyarados at level 20 is generally much stronger than any other Pokemon available at that level, and with a Wakan Berry to weaken any incoming electric move, Gyara was able to take care of the Combuskin with ease. Togetic tried to do the same to Kubfu, but an unfortunate paralysis into full paralysis stopped them in their tracks. Bayleaf was good backup to take care of Kubfu, and Hatchram was simply no match for Lanoon, who picked up her second KO of the fight. Upon making it to Dewford, I picked up a few extra encounters, including an 120 base power stab, 100 accuracy water move before the second gym. Don't mind if I do. Finally, Granite Cave nets me a cute little scraggly friend. Brawly looks a bit frightening to say the least. Specifically, the Girder and Lycanroc seem like they could be problems with well-timed switches, but I felt like the box was strong enough to adapt to a lot of different potential situations. Bayleaf starts by doing what it does best, walling electric types and healing, but Brawly almost immediately swaps his Pikachu Libre, which is obviously an electric and fighting type, into Alolan Sandslash. Not a fighting type, I know, but that's a common theme for this game. A lot of type specialist gym leaders are given Pokemon that don't match their type for diversity and coverage, and Brawly is no exception. Plus, Sandslash could probably punch if it really wanted to, which makes it fighting adjacent enough. Gyarados meets the Sandslash with an Intimidate as it swaps into Girder, and a Bulldoze chips at the Eviolite boosted Freak just a little bit. A pivot into Bayleaf lets Starmie come in more safely, but Bayleaf gets paralyzed in the process. Just a bit annoying, but definitely manageable later as long as the luck isn't too bad. With a Wakan Berry, Starmie is able to take the KO on Girder, bringing Sandslash back in. Sandslash doesn't actually do much damage to Starmie, and I'm able to recover in its face for free, bringing me back up to full HP. Gyarados gets a bit more chip and lets Starmie finish off the Shrew, which sets me up perfectly for Starmie to also KO Brawly's ace, Hariyama. Lycanroc, who also isn't a fighting type, and honestly probably couldn't even punch if they wanted to, also loses the 1v1 to Starmie. Starmie might just be the best Pokemon maybe ever in the history of all Pokemon for this fight. Finally, Pikachu loses the battle against Bayleaf, and the second badge is ours. The level cap jumps to 30, which lets some of my Pokemon evolve finally. Welcome to the team, new friends, especially Joel. I love this guy. The next obstacle standing in our way is a back-to-back fight in the Slateport Museum, which is actually quite scary. These Aqua Grunts have scary Pokemon. Tinted Lens low kicks hits like a truck, but thankfully Togetic holds and KOs with an Air Slash. Starmie takes care of the Quillfish, and just like that, the second Grunt's Golisopod is staring me down. I kind of heavily overestimated how much damage my Gyarados would be doing to this Golisopod, and he was actually healing almost all of the damage I was doing back with Leech Life. It definitely didn't help that I wasn't getting any flinch luck, and as you can tell, I was not mad about that at all. It's 30%! Scraggy gets some chip damage on the Hisui Quillfish before it flip turns into Palpitoad. Bayleaf is easily able to 1v1 the Toad, which brings Golisopod back in for another first impression. Togetic takes the hit, but can't safely KO in return thanks to being speed tied. Lantern barely misses a range with Shockwave and narrowly dodges certain death from a critical Leech Life. A second Shockwave finally finishes off the beast, and a combination of Scraggy and Starmie take care of the Quillfish. Definitely the scariest combination of fights up to this point. One bad crit definitely could have claimed a life, or maybe even the run. It's Finally time to evolve Spheal as the level cap jumps 2 levels to 32, and the majority of trainers on Route 110 under Cycling Road are known in Emerald Imperium as mini-bosses. This is just a fancy way of saying they're a bit harder than the average random trainer in this game, which are basically completely free at any given point. These mini-bosses, however, take a bit more thought and preparation. The first of these mini-bosses is a double battle with a lightning rod gimmick, and with some smart pivots involving Lantern Volt Absorb, this fight was no problem. Right past these two trainers is the opening where the player is able to fish, and my two options are Wooper and the other Wooper. I got the cute brown one, which would end up being one of the single best encounters I'd get in this game. Clodsire has an incredible typing, especially for this game, and the combination of Water Absorb and Unaware makes it super valuable and diverse. Guarding the rest of Route 110 and Mauville City is this annoying rival fight with a Sniper Crobat, which kind of packs up my entire box. I was having a lot of trouble coming up with a safe counter to this thing, and decided my best bet was to try my luck at the optional Gardenia fight, which I was gonna force myself to battle anyway because, like I said before, all 16 gym leaders are going down from Hoenn and Sinnoh. The calc I was using for this game, that's short for calculator by the way, I'm just using slang, it kind of baited me because this is what it shows as her team, when in reality she actually has 2 Glooms with different sets. Like, okay, yes, I could have just looked at the documentation and noticed that she had 2 Glooms, but that would involve reading, which I've established in the past is not a common trait in Nuzlockers. Just ask Wacko. Anyway, Orbital leads the fight off by taking down the Roserade with a combination of Psyshocks, which immediately brings in Gardenia's Sudowoodo. The newly acquired Clodsire takes it down with ease, and in comes Dolive. The rest of Gardenia's team is built to stall. I'm not even kidding. I involved myself in a 20+ minute stall war with these freakish Glooms and this annoying Dolive with Harvest. And my Pokemon almost died. Anyway, Gardenia gave me the Eviolite, the U-Turn TM, and some Leaf Stones. Pretty fair deal if you ask me. The Eviolite I got from Gardenia made Celio a great counter to the once devious Crobat, and slaying the bat made Kubfu promptly walk into battle. Starmie was the perfect counter for this, and knowing that, Brendan decided to swap into Whimsicott. Tentacruel pretty much always walled this with the Liquid Ooze ability, and I used this time to set up a layer of Toxic Spikes. Matang swapped in on the incoming Sludge, and Orbeetle took Tentacruel's place on the incoming Zen Headbutt. A few Bug Buzzes cleaned up the Matang, which was truthfully the biggest concern in this fight for my team. Combuskin was no match for Gyarados, and a Lantern Pivot let Orbeetle get in to clean up the weakened Kubfu. Finally, Orbeetle chipped at Whimsicott, and Tentacruel swapped in to pick up the final KO of the battle. Mauville was in our sights now, and it was only a matter of time until I was face to face with Watson's ace, the newly added Mega Luxray. The rest of the mini-bosses on Route 110 were no problem, and on Route 117 I encountered a Cubone, which at first didn't seem super appealing, until I remembered I could get Alolan Marowak and Lightning Rod. The amount of Pokemon with only normal fighting and electric coverage is surprisingly high in this game, and Alolan Marowak with Lightning Rod walls a decent amount of Mons. It's actually really funny. Not to mention the next gym leader was Watson, who's known for, of course, electric-type Pokemon. Quite the win with my encounter here if I do say so myself. I actually completely forgot about Wally even being a character. I mean, he's just so forgettable. I really wish he was a better and more incorporated character into the story. Like, isn't it kind of weird that the only 2 times you battle him are here in Victory Road? I honestly can't remember if that changes in Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire though. It's been forever since I played those games. Either way, his team is pretty free. Bayleaf 1v1 Dreadnought, Togekiss crushed Kricketune, Lantern completely walled Skarmory, and Gyarados throttled his ace Gardevoir. Nothing too excited, just your standard professional Nuzlocking at play. Watson, on the other hand, looks kind of terrifying. And by kind of terrifying, I mean it's basically just his Mega Luxray. This thing's stats are what every 8-year-old that played Pokemon Platinum as a kid thinks Luxray's stats are, rather than the pathetic 70 base speed that Luxray normally has. Strong Jaw to top it all off, as well as becoming an electric and dark type, makes this guy a force to be reckoned with, especially at this point in the game. In reality though, what I thought would be a bit of a threat ended up completely folding to a single Golisopod first impression. Turns out that the added dark typing isn't doing Luxray any favors here, unfortunately. This fight really was just the Clodsire show, with a little sprinkle of Golisopod and Marowak thrown in there. Definitely the easiest gym leader so far. 3 badges. It feels like I have a fantastic box at this point, and I don't think I'm beating the not actually the unluckiest Nuzlocker in the world allegations anytime soon. The level cap jumps to 44, which gives me access to a ton of fun evolutions. I can't lie, Run and Bun completely warped my perception of the Hoenn map, and it feels really weird to head north after Watson, even though that's the way you're supposed to go. I don't know, I just have Stockholm Syndrome, I think. I picked up some TMs in the game corner and decided to take a little detour to the beach house on Route 109 below Slateport to fight some optional bosses. Beating the 3 trainers in the beach house gives the player a gift Charcadet, and I really wanted to use Ceruledge. I think everybody can agree that Ceruledge is one of the coolest new Pokemon introduced in Generation 9. I head north towards Route 111, but guarding the way to Fall Arbor Town is a rival fight, this time with Dawn, who does in fact have her rival theme from Diamond and Pearl. Beautiful touch from the Emerald Imperium devs. This fight was also really easy, mostly because Marowak completely walled the Lopunny with Lightning Lightning Rod, so it never really wanted to stay in while Marowak was also on the field. Lopunny decided to switch into Chandelure, and predicting that, I used a Rock Slide which chunked the Chandelier down to 1 HP. I let Exploud pick up the kill because I felt bad for them, and like clockwork, switched Marowak back in to finish off the rabbit. First, we had Mega Luxray, but get ready to meet Mega Empoleon D's. This guy looks hilarious, but also adorable if I do say so myself. I genuinely love the design, and I wish Game Freak would give my favorite starter a Mega, let alone 2. Unfortunately for him, Clodsire clobbered him with a combination of Tail Whip and Earthquake. And after a yawn, Empoleon swapped into Tsarina. Clodsire took care of that as well, then kept chipping away at the Penguin. Slowly but surely, Claude finished off the Empoleon, and the final Noivern hit the field. A pivot into Gyarados let Togekiss come in safely, then annihilated the dragon with a dazzling gleam. Dawn gave me 999 ability patches, which lets me give any of my Pokemon their hidden ability. This opens up so many more options for my box, and lets this game truly feel like a sandbox. Before pulling my Route 112 encounter, I decided to Rock Smash on Route 111 to get an Alolan Geodude, which I can use an ability pill on to get Magnet Pull. Steel types are way too valuable to pass up on at almost any given opportunity, but it doesn't pay off here unfortunately. Bellsprout is fine though. Chlorophyll is a nice ability for any sun fight, and Flannery is coming up after all. In Fiery Path, I encountered a Litleo, which I wasn't super happy about. I guess Pyroar gets adaptability, and I have to admit that firing off an adaptability stab Hyper Beam sounds kind of enticing. The Pyroar Follow Sprite is so weirdly small though. Like, look at Toxapex, it's huge. Why so little? The Route 113 encounter table looks horrible, and I knew there was an NPC in Fall Arbor Town that gives the player starter eggs. Basically, just like in Radical Red, the player can trade different color shards in exchange for a starter of the corresponding type. So red shards give a fire type egg, blue is water, and green is grass. Anytime an encounter table looks relatively weak, it really does feel more beneficial to hatch a starter egg on that route instead. But just like that, it's starter hatching time. I decided to go with a grass type starter first, since I didn't have a ton of them at this point, and really wanted to get a Turtwig. Rowlet popped out of the egg, and I went with Hisui and Decidueye because it gets a really cool new ability called Quill Rush. Quill Rush boosts damage by 20% and speed by 50%, but only on the first turn Decidueye is in battle. It's an incredibly good ability, and switching back in resets Quill Rush, allowing multiple uses of it per battle. And in case you're wondering, yes, Quill Rush works the first turn you're able to act if you swap into Decidueye via Volt Switch or any other pivoting move. I also hatched a Fire-type egg on Route 113 and ended up getting a Torchic. Pretty much any available town or city is considered another encounter location, and since there isn't any grass or water in Rustboro, I hatched a water-type starter to complete the trifecta. I got a Quaxly, which, wait, did I just hatch 3 bird starters back to back? And they all evolved into fighting types. I got 3 fighting type birds all back to back to back. I can't believe this. Mauville's egg ended up being 8. If this is Chespin, then Emboar and ZA is another ghost type. Oh my god, I'm gonna actually lose my mind. Bro! I just got 4 fighting types all in a row! I mean, fighting's a great tape, but like, how does this happen? What are the odds of this? Continuing the long road towards Lava Ridge, and it's snowing on Route 114? And yes, I mean snow, not hail. Imperium has Generation 9 mechanics, so hail has been completely replaced with snow, and freeze has been replaced with frostbite. This means that yes, all ice types get a 50% boost to their defense in snow, and the trainers on Route 114 definitely take advantage of that. There are 4 mini-bosses guarding Meteor Falls, and it was at this point that it seemed like the game's difficulty would ramp up a bit. I immediately wanted to first impression the first trainer's Slowking with Golisopod, but it instantly swapped out into Dugong, which created a bit of an issue. Lantern discharged the Dugong, and Slowking coming back in created another issue. The thing about Golisopod is it's really difficult to switch back in on crits sometimes because of how its ability emergency exit works, and it was my only real counter to the Slowking that was now lurking in the back. I decided it was sort of my only option, and thankfully Golisopod dodged the crit and took care of it with a first impression. Quaquaval hit the field for the first time to counter the Aurorus while also chaining another KO into Weavile, but it seemed like the difficulty increase that I was talking about earlier was becoming more and more real. Although the rest of these snow fights were a piece of cake, except for the fact that I didn't realize the Lunatone in this fight had Hypnosis, and I forgot to equip a Chestoberry. But Scrafty is in fact my go and clutched up for me. On Route 114, Golem magnet pulled a Tinkatink that I decided to name after myself, and I was really excited to use this mon. Tinkatuff has an amazing typing with access to Mold Breaker, Fake Out, and Gigaton Hammer. You might be wondering, what are Team Magma and Team Aqua like in this game? It must be pretty cool seeing these older generation evil teams with scary new water and fire types respectively, right? Well, you'd be exactly right. Courtney has a Mega Centiskorch. The Gigantamax Centiskorch from Sword and Shield has been turned into a Mega, and it gets the insanely broken ability of Mountaineer, which, of course, completely removes Centiskorch's 4 times weakness to rock, replacing it with an immunity. Oh, and it ignores Stealth Rocks, Balanced, right? Not to mention, you fight Courtney's Hellworm in a double battle where she's paired with another Magma Grunt. The plan for this fight was to first impression the Cradily with Golisopod while clapping the worm with a fake out, which would ideally send in Iron Thorns to see a KO on Golisopod. From here, I wanted to swap Tinkaton in on Lightning Rod Marowak to take a Fire Lash and Supercell Slam. This would accomplish two things. For one, Marowak absorbs the electric move headed Golisopod's way, which lets Golisopod get off a Razor Shell for free. Second, since Supercell Slam is essentially an electric-type version of Jump Kick, Iron Thorns would take massive recoil damage. However, the second part didn't happen, which means it was an unintended bug in the game. Trust me, I checked, and Bulbapedia would never lie to me. This ended up being pretty bad. Both of my rock weak mons were now staring down a vicious rock slide from Iron Thorns when in the plan it was supposed to die this turn. Buckle up everyone, it's time for a classic Squerk steer. Patent pending. Marowak throws up a Protect to buy time, while I entrust Golisopod to dodge a Rock Slide flinch so he can get the KO on Iron Thorns, but an unfortunate crit activates Golly's emergency exit, forcing it out of battle. Marowak pivots into Tinkaton while Slowbro is forced to fire a Water Pulse into Iron Thorns, which should have been a Scald, but I may have potentially forgotten to teach it before the fight. Using Tinkaton's HP here to pivot between her and Marowak buys enough time for Slowbro to dodge some flinches and pick up the KO on Iron Thorns. In comes Bombardier, and Marowak protects again while Togekiss takes Slowbro's place. Another swap into Tinkaton like clockwork as Togekiss's Dazzling Gleam hits the whole field. A final protect from Tinkaton lets Toge pick up the KO on the bird, and somehow I've managed to turn this steer into a 2v1. Gyarados and Togekiss team up to take down the Goliath Worm, Tauros falls to Slowbro, and Contrary Superior slithers its way in. My team is pretty battered at this point, and Marowak is dead to Dragon Pulse and Leaf Storm from Superior. It's either sack something or let Marowak try and hit the fabled double protect, which has a very decent chance to fail. You're the GOAT! Yes! Gongus, you're the GOAT! You're the GOAT! I think there's a theme in these challenge runs. I just can't stop hitting double protects for some reason. That wasn't even the Magma boss though. Maxie boasts a hellish team including a Specs Shiyu and Mega Camerupt. Maxie, however, ends up being the easiest of the Team Magma higher-ups. Turns out an AI having a choice item when you can perfectly predict what move it's using while simultaneously having a boatload of immunities makes it kind of free. Who would have thought? My ragtag group of guys clobbered Maxie's team, scaring Team Magma off the mountain. And it was time to make my way down to Lava Ridge to earn my 4th gym badge. Magnet Pull is successful once again in Jagged Pass, netting me what might just be the single best Pokemon in my box at this point, and maybe in the game as a whole. Aegislash is absolutely freakish, and it's even better when the AI tends to be predictable. The cycle of attack into protect works marvelously with the sword and shield combo, and this was the perfect addition to an already strong box. I also hatched an Eevee egg that I got from Lava Ridge and evolved it into Jolteon. I don't have any real reason as to why I chose Jolteon, it's really not even my favorite. I just picked that one. I can't lie, Flannery's team looks insane. Walking Wake and Mega Infernape are staring me down, and I really don't want to tango with the likes of them. This fight was going to be a slow one with a lot of PP stalling. At first glance, I noticed I had a lot of really valuable immunities into this fight, and the only coverage Infernape had to hit my Flash Fire Ceruledge would be Thunder Punch. Stalling Infernape out of Thunder Punches would give Ceruledge a completely free 1v1, so it was vital to bring either Lantern for Volt Absorb or a ground type. Like I mentioned before, Walking Wake having a Choice Scarf is actually its biggest weakness. Togekiss is a great answer to switch in on Dragon Pulse, and having a Flash Fire Mon for Flamethrower and a Water Absorb Mon, like Clodsire, for the Hydro Steam would prove to also be very important. Finally, Flannery's Scovillain stands out as a bit of a pest. Even though Sun isn't permanent in this fight, Scovillain hitting the field while Sun is up would be really detrimental, unless I had something that could match it in the Sun. That's where Victory Bell comes in. Also sporting the Chlorophyll ability, and being ever so slightly faster in the Sun, meant it was the perfect counter, as long as it could come in on any move not named Flamethrower. And as we established before, Ceruledge's Flash Fire would be the perfect stepping stone to allow for that. And it was all working. Everything went entirely according to plan. Rotom got PP stalled by Lantern and Ceruledge, Infernape had the same fate, Walking Wake crumbled a Togekiss, and in waltzed in the big bad Scovillain. Sun was up, and it was Victory Bell's time to shine. A well-placed Sludge Bomb was just enough to perfectly KO the Wait, what? The calculator I've been using says it's a guaranteed KO. How could this happen? I mean, I double-checked everything. Victory Bell is timid, Scovillain is modest, and it always shows a guaranteed KO. Well, the answer is a lot more frustrating than I would have liked. As it turns out, there were a few instances throughout Emerald Imperium where Pokemon have EVs, even on the version I specifically chose to play, which has EVs entirely removed. This Scovillain just so happens to have 6 EVs in HP, and Victory Bell hit the lowest possible Sludge Bomb roll. Thankfully, Victorbell's demise didn't really have a negative impact on the rest of the fight. I mean, Scovillain passed to its own life orb immediately after the flamethrower, but the PP stalling from before continued as normal. Rotom and Torkoal fell to a combination of Lantern, Gyarados, and Ceruledge, and just like that, Flannery's cheating ass handed us our 4th gym badge, as well as a bunch of fun items. Speaking of fun items, our rival gave us a few more fun items, including the safety goggles that let us traverse through the harsh desert on Route 111. Before any of that though, the Trick House on Route 110 is now mandatory, and it's full of a bunch of pretty scary trainers, some of which even have Mega Pokemon. Guarding the Trick House is Wally, whose team is completely free just like always. When is this character going to ever be anything? I seriously want Wally to succeed, but like he just sucks so much. Most importantly though, Ceruledge now has access to the move Bitter Blade at level 54 after the level increase, which is, to be blunt, extremely broken. With the ability Sharpness, it's stronger than Flare Blitz while healing for half of the damage dealt to the opposing Pokemon. As if Ceruledge wasn't powerful enough before with access to Flash Fire and good coverage, Bitter Blade completely pushed it over the top to being the single best Pokemon in my box. Oh yeah, and remember when I said Wally sucks so bad and that he's always completely free? And all those other mean and hurtful and evil things that I said? Well, he decided that he was playing based off of vibes today and used Ice Beam into my Tentacruel because it was out of Hydro Pump PP and I wasn't counting. So I switched my Water Absorb Clodsire into the incoming Hydro Pump, except it wasn't a Hydro Pump at all, it was an Ice Beam. And then I had to dodge a crit while screaming, please don't crit me, and well, it didn't crit. It didn't crit. Yeah, it didn't crit. Wally sucks. Still, he sucks. I would have crit if I was Wally. I would have crit. Anyway, the Trick House was really fun. There are quite a few thematic battles that are really cool, and a lot of them include some of the custom megas introduced in Emerald Imperium. Mega Roserade, Mega Snorlax, Mega Butterfree, and my personal favorite, Mega Garbodor, which has this ability, and I think that's such an awesome concept. I did, however, fight this Magnezone with Alolan Marowak, who had Battle Armor rather than Lightning Rod, and it Volt Switched into Ferrothorn, which did a lot more damage than I expected, causing the combination of Iron Barbs and Rocky Helmet to finish off Marowak. This was honestly a pretty crucial loss. This Pokemon has been incredible. It completely walls so many things in this game with all of its immunities, and losing it to that of all things was nothing short of a disaster. I'll miss you, Gongus. None of these fights were particularly hard, barring that unfortunate mistake, but I did get a little bit stuck planning for one, and I decided to take a quick detour to fight Fantina, where Exploud of all creatures picked up 2 separate KOs. My chat was actively rooting against the guy, so I had to give him some action. Fantina was actually completely free though. Furcoat Walrein obliterated her ace Mega Banette with Encore, and the rest of her team just crumbled to Exploud and Aegislash. I got a couple useful TMs, including Shadow Ball and Psychic, as well as the Expert Belt and Leftovers, 2 incredibly useful items. Maylene had the same fate, although her King Gambit was terrifying to look at. Genuinely, who approved Supreme Overlord? Like, who thought that was fine? Aegislash was problematic for her team to say the least. She completely walled half of her team with a combination of King Shield and the newly acquired Leftovers. Garganacl eroded to Meganium's Giga Drains, Aegislash made quick work of her Mega Lucario, Meganium came back in to deal with Lilligant's Hisuian counterpart and Pangoro, then I gave Quaquaval the misfortune of dealing with the Supreme Overlord himself. Thankfully, I am a smart and talented Nuzlocker, and dropped a roost on the incoming Sucker Punch, letting Quaquaval safely take the KO without having to risk any crits. The main reason I fought Maylene when I did was for the Drain Punch and Aura Sphere TMs, 2 incredibly useful fighting type moves. The Mega Lucario Stone was a huge plus too though, adding a super broken Mega to my already stacked roster of Pokemon. Now, Emerald Imperium has been a pretty easy game for a seasoned Nuzlocke professional such as myself. The 5th gym leader in Norman, however, would prove to be the turning point of this incredibly successful run so far. Iron Valiant? Terrifying. Blood Moon Ursaluna? I barely even know what that is. I'm like 1,000 years old. What is a Shed Tail anyway? Not to mention Guts Flame Orb Obstagoon. But the real issue here comes with the Mega Slacking. As if Slacking wasn't powerful enough, Emerald Imperium gives them a Mega form, and you guessed it, it no longer has Truant, the one thing holding it back from being an absolute menace. Slacking's Truant ability is replaced with Komala's signature ability, Comatose, which means Slacking acts as if it's always asleep. This means status moves don't work. Oh, and also it has these stats. Completely patching up Slacking's middling special defense by putting most of its special attack points into it and making it even faster, while removing the one thing that balances Slacking. I lead with Golisopod, as Norman leads with Obstagoon, and I sent a first impression the Dark type's way. Okay, I'm kidding. This is a Hisuian Zoroark, and I fired off a Sucker Punch, which 2-hit KO'd after retaliatory Frostbite from Zoroark's Bitter Malice. Blood Moon Ursaluna waltzed in for its signature attack properly named Blood Moon, and a swap to Lucario was supposed to keep Golisopod safe, but Norman immediately switched? Seriously, why swap Ursaluna in the first place if you're just going to switch out before doing anything? Slacking took the field, and a pivot to Togekiss on Earthquake was supposed to allow for Aegislash to come in for free on a return, but I completely disregarded the fact that my Togekiss was holding a Chill-On Berry, which weakens the damage of any normal type move. I originally wanted to PP stall this thing completely out of moves, but he was now seeing overlapping rolls of return and play rough, and Aegislash just didn't have enough HP to completely stall it out, especially after a power-up punch. This was really bad. I'm forced to get a bit of chip damage with Togekiss, then pivot a few times to get some more chip damage from Golisopod's first impression before sacking it to slacking. From here, Mega Lucario picks up the revenge kill, but the rest of my team is completely battered. Thankfully, Toxapex can swap in whenever Iron Valiant switches in and completely wall it, then heal up with Regenerator, but a well-timed switch into Cyclizar gives the momentum right back to Norman. Shedtail is really bad here if it swaps into the wrong Pokemon, and swapping into Ursaluna while giving it a substitute is exactly the situation I'm talking about. Isn't this move just so well balanced? Togekiss braced the substitute before falling to Ursaluna, and Lucario picks up yet another revenge kill. Toxapex forces Iron Valiant to switch into Cyclizar again, which sets up another Shedtail, this time into Obstagoon, who immediately gets burned because Shedtail also did not end the turn, giving Obstagoon its Flame Orb proc. Thankfully, it's not completely over. Aegislash still has a Colbur Berry to weaken the incoming Dark Attack, as long as it isn't a critical hit. A Sacred Sword breaks the substitute, which lets Lucario swap in to pick up another KO, as well as the follow-up on Cyclizar. Easily the hardest fight in the game so far. What an absolute bloodbath. The 3 losses were definitely going to be missed. None of them were slouches in any capacity, but at least we're able to move on towards Fortree City. You know the drill by now. Anytime I beat a boss fight, I get a bunch of items. Wow, so cool. The level cap jumps up to 64, and before crossing the water towards 119, we get to take a detour to the desert to pick up the inconveniently placed Surf HM. Guarding the HM are a few single battles, but most importantly, this extremely scary double battle against a Mega Sandaconda, a ground-flying type behemoth of a Pokemon with the ability Aerolate. Before getting into that though, it's important to mention this because I'm sorry, I know it's a jump scare. I had a sub-goal a few months before this to bleach my hair, and bleaching black hair kind of just turns it into this awful orange color. And I didn't want to damage my hair anymore, so I sort of just left it at this. Go ahead and write your comment about how I look like the Lorax. You'll have a tough time finding an orange-haired or orange character that my Twitch chat has not called me at this point. Anyway, this fight was really miserable to plan for. The theme of losing Pokemon in these last few sections of the game does not end here, and some weird AI patterns caused me to lose Barraskewda and Pyro to this Demon Double. Again, I don't fully understand the AI in this game yet. I am on my first attempt after all, and while it's been mostly consistent, there are still a few situations that have me shaking my head as to why a certain decision has been made. Either way, Surf acquired, and it's time to push through to Fortree City. The encounter pools were kind of underwhelming in these next routes, so I decided to hatch a few more starter eggs and ended up with a Sobble, and holy, a shiny Turtwig. Whoa, poggers, dude. On Route 119, I tried magnet pulling with Golem for a potential Kartana, but ended up with a Durant, which still isn't a bad encounter. Crasher Wake is also just kind of chilling in the water here on Route 118. The endurance on this man is astounding, but you know who has more endurance? Not me, but I am a more talented Pokemon trainer, which is easily enough for most potential love interests. Just like with all the other Sinnoh leaders for the most part, this fight was incredibly easy. Getting access to Water Absorb just made pivots so telegraphed, and Wake's water types didn't really have the coverage to break through my box. Wake's ace, Mega Lapras, is really cool though, and I just wanted to showcase it as another interesting and unique Mega that Imperium offers. The Water Dragon type is rocking the Liquid Voice ability with a walloping Boom Burst, but again, Lantern just kind of eats it with Water Absorb. On the topic of new custom Mega Pokemon, Matt, on the other hand, is not a pushover, and even lists an Aqua Grunt to fight alongside him in the Weather Institute. And his ace, you may ask? Mega Machamp, with this ability that I'm not going to try to pronounce. As far as I know, this is a reference to some anime, but I simply do not care. It's basically just Parental Bond, but for punching moves. The newly acquired Rampardos from Desert Underpass was actually a godsend in this fight. A Sheer Force Rock Slide destroys the Armaldo, while I simultaneously realized that Machamp put on pants. Oh, and Rillaboom used a fake out on Machamp as well. Rampardos protects to keep themselves safe as Rillaboom swaps for Jolteon, and this time Rampardos swaps as Jolteon protects. Jolteon gets rid of the Iron Jugulis and Volt switches the incoming Starmie to clear out the Aqua Grunt side as I pivot around on the other side, keeping my team safe. From here, it's an easy 2v1 against Matt's team, one of the more fun double battles to plan for in this game for sure. The boss of Weather Institute, Shelly, leads with a Shell Smash Huntail. I was a bit worried that this thing would switch out, and having to deal with Shell Smash on a potential switch-in was kinda scary, but thankfully it stayed in and fainted the Lantern's Thunderbolt. There are a lot of Pokemon with choice items in this game, and with all the abilities that give you immunities combined with Protect, it's so easy to abuse them. This Keldeo is no different, and Aegislash picks it apart with no problem. Mega Gyarados was simply no match for Chestnut. Tinkaton brought down the hammer on Hisui and Braviary, Torterra's Crunch took care of Decidueye, and Tinkaton came back in to finish the job by taking out Haxorus, who she completely walled with an air balloon. The fighting doesn't stop here though. My rival jumps me just as I'm about to make it to Fortree, and this time they weren't messing around. I led with Galvanize Golem, except instead of Galvanize, I still had Magnet Pull because I forgot. Crobat swapped into Metagross for an Earthquake, which let Blaziken come in for free with an Air Balloon. Another switch to Basculegion made me want to get Blaziken out of there, and Tentacruel took their place to 1v1 the Spooky Fish. The newly acquired Mega Stone from Wake let Gyarados hit the field and send a Crunch Basculegion's way, but they decided to switch into Metagross for some reason. I took the free kill with a second Crunch, which brought in Mega Blaziken. Sarrowledge was my counter to this, since Flashfire plus the Ghost typing seemed like a pretty solid counter to the Chicken, but a very unfortunately timed crit into Paralysis put me in a really bad spot. My best course of action here is to dodge a crit and hit through Paralysis, otherwise this thing is going to tear through my entire team. Sarrowledge clutches up and hits through, but sadly misses the 2-hit KO range. I'm forced at this point to send another hit through Paralysis, this time a Shadow Sneak, otherwise I was staring down a wipe. Sarrowledge clutches up again, very fitting for the best Pokemon in my box. The rest of the team was not a problem for the squad, but wow, was that way too close for comfort. I can't tell if I'm getting complacent or if this game's difficulty is spiking, but either way, it's time to lock in. In Fortree City and Route 119, I hatched more starter eggs, this time a Fuecoco and Cyndaquil, one of my all-time favorite starters, and Skeledirge is an awesome Pokemon. Very happy with this. Considering I had Skeledirge and Sarrowledge, I decided to go with the original Typhlosion rather than the Hisui version, but both Pokemon are solid in their own right anyway. Winona's team seemed like a bit of a break from the last few fights, with most of her team seeming relatively easy to counter. I mean, look at all these flying types. Who's your favorite between Flygon, Frosmoth, and Aggron? Me personally, I use Aggron in all of my monotype flying Nuzlocks. Seriously though, I really like when ROM hacks add diversity to these monotype gym leaders. It makes it less linear and oftentimes more difficult. Like, yeah, sure, Flygon and Frosmoth are definitely flying adjacent considering they both have wings and can fly, and Aggron doesn't really fit the bill here, but whatever, the point still stands. The plan was to lock this Staraptor into close combat while switching to Aegislash, with the expectation of it switching into something so I can get some free damage off, but it just took it. Down goes the Raptor, say hello to Flygon. This was easily the biggest threat on the team. Life Orb Sheer Force Flygon does a ton of damage, but I enlisted Starmie to get the job done with some support from Tinkaton. Unfortunately, it switched out once Starmie hit the field, which was actually pretty bad. Most of these fights are getting kind of flowcharty now though. There's a lot of switching, so it's hard to say that this Pokemon just beat this one, but this game gives the player a lot of defensive tools to make it so these counters are very safe. Specifically in this fight, Torterra hard counters Aggron, Aegislash completely walls Frosmoth, and Durant dealt with Altaria. Thundurus wasn't an issue thanks to Lantern's Volt Absorb, or at least it wouldn't be if this bum could remember to use ability pills before important fights. How many times has this happened so far? Either way, Aegislash getting a Shadow Claw off on Thundurus as Winona swapped it in was huge for Lantern to be able to finish it off. Winona made the mistake of not swapping her Flygon out once Starmie hit the field a second time, and a single Ice Beam took it down. From here, the rest of her team was far too weak to make a dent in the rest of my squad, and the 6th badge was in my hands. After Winona, the game lets us know that there are some little caves that open up, of which there are exciting legendary Pokemon. The most fun part about this is that these caves count as new Met locations, so they're essentially all free encounters. I picked up all 3 Regis in their original Emerald locations, as well as Azelf in the Scorched Slab. I figured Regieleki was in New Mauville, which they were, but I thought it would be kind of fun to not spoil where Uxie, Mesprit, and Regidrago were. I went on a long hunt to find them, and I won't spoil it for you all, but it was honestly a lot of fun. It made me feel like a kid again playing through Pokemon Emerald for the first time. I will say though, each of these legendaries had their respective themes play while I was in the cave, but Regidrago's cave's music was this. Why is this the music they picked? Low key though, I can't blame them, they're jamming. In Fortree City, there are a few fights against members of the dev team, each of which gives you the Sinnoh Starter Mega Stones as well as some more incredibly useful items. I was here for the choice items primarily though, and none of them were super difficult thankfully. Route 121 towards Lilycove has permanent rain, and while I thought it might be difficult, it was a total breeze. A lot of these Pokemon have Swift Swim, but that doesn't really matter when you have grassy terrain Rillaboom with Grassy Glide. The Safari Zone towards the end of the route had the easiest magnet pull of my life, and Celesteela was the newest broken member of our already insane team of Pokemon. I also welcomed Trico to the team as the Lilycove encounter, of course, from yet another starter egg. Rather than a fight with Brendan again, Dawn meets us in Lilycove, and they were a complete pushover. Seriously, this was such an easy fight. I was barely paying attention. Most of these Dawn fights are unfortunately the same thing, with the same counters to her Pokemon. I swear, it doesn't matter what game I play. If there's ever the possibility of encountering a Dreepy, which is my favorite Pokemon ever, by the way, I never get it. Instead, I'm stuck with this stupid Yamask that's probably going to turn into a good Pokemon, but I just want a Dreepy. I'm mad about it, can you tell? I also picked up a Krabby, which is actually kind of exciting considering Mega Kingler exists in this game, but unfortunately I never really found much of a use for it. Emerald Imperium goes off the beaten path just a little bit from here and takes you through Aqua Hideout before Magma Hideout. Speaking of which, I hatched another egg in Aqua Hideout, of course, and welcome to the team Sprigatito. Meowscarada is incredibly broken and nearly a lock for the Elite Four. Protean just goes so hard as an ability. I also caught a Hisuian Sliggoo thanks to Magnapul on Route 123, and I was pretty excited to use Hisuian Goodra since I never got to in Run and Bun. Rather than the regular foe Matt and Aqua Hideout, the big boss Archie is here to stop me this time, and the immediate sight of an Overquill lead sent me right back to Run and Bun with a boatload of trauma. This Pokemon is always such a demon, but not so much when it's utilized as a hazard setter lead. Galvanize Alolan Golem makes quick work of the pufferfish with a series of electric type rapid spins, and in comes the robot Delibird. Which means it's time for Regice, baby! Woo! Regice! Pew pew pew! Regice in chat! Yeah! Yeah! Regice! Yeah! Hell yeah! Regice! Hell yeah! Regice! Poliwrath, like most fighting types, easily drowned to Toxapex even with the addition of Surging Strikes to their move pool, and the rest of Archie's team were no match for Lantern, Meowscarada, and Meganium. That was way less threatening than I thought it would be. I mean, that's the big boss of Team Aqua. I'm really hoping he puts up more of a fight in Seafloor Cavern, or I'm going to be real disappointed. Towards Moss Deep we go. For some reason, Route 124 has Harsh Sun. I guess they had used the other 3 weather conditions for different sections of mini-bosses and needed Summer to put this one. Either way, these fights were all incredibly easy for my stacked box. Upon reaching Moss Deep, all of the water routes get completely opened up, which allows for a bunch of new encounters, which I'll just show here rather than going through all of them. I also decided to fight this gym leader from Sinnoh that I can't remember the name of off the top of my head. You'll have to remind me in the comments section. But she was guarding Shoal Cave and I wanted my encounter, so she was going to have to perish. She uses Ice-type Pokemon, and my abundance of Steel types made pretty quick work of her. Sadly, these Sinnoh leaders are mostly pretty easy, which I guess is kind of nice since they reap pretty great rewards a lot of the time. Byron, on the other hand, was not so easy. I actually decided to delay this fight until I was able to get the Mega Torterra Stone, since the ability Ice Eater is completely broken. In case you're wondering, yes, it is just Earth Eater, but for ice moves. And yes, Torterra becomes an absolute monster with its Mega Evolution. Delaying this was mostly due to Byron's Melmetal, since this fight is on Route 121 in the Permanent Rain, and I had no way of beating this thing until I got access to the new Mega. Shoal Cave was actually exclusive to Paradox Pokemon, and I got my favorite one of all time, Slitherwing, who immediately got to put in work for the Tate and Liza gym fight. This fight is a double battle with 2 Megas, Kangaskhan and Alakazam in Psychic Terrain, but terrain works just like weather. Whichever Pokemon is slower has their terrain override the other, so Rillaboom is perfect here. Grassy Terrain negates the Psychic Terrain from Tapu Lele, giving me access to powerful priority moves such as Grassy Glide and First Impression. A single First Impression takes care of Iron Leaves, while Rillaboom fakes out the Lele. This brought in Farigiraf, which let Tinkaton take Rillaboom's place, while Slitherwing lands a Protect. Tinkaton sends a fake out Tapu Lele's way, while Meowscarada swaps into the Twin Beam from Farigiraf, and Meowscarada U-turns away to safety back into Rillaboom. Tinkaton picks up the Farigiraf KO, which just leaves Mega Alakazam, who completely folds to Tinkaton. As always with these double battles, it's a 2v1 at this point, which makes it significantly easier. In fact, Meowscarada's U-turn KOs Espathra and brings Tinkaton back in to fake out the final Mon, Mega's Kangaskhan. The 3 Steel types in my party make quick work of Kangaskhan, and the 7th gym badge is mine. One more to go, but some of these endgame fights are pretty terrifying. Something I've yet to mention at this point is that a large majority of Mega Stones in this game are obtained by beating the Wind Straits, which is an optional gauntlet of 4 trainers who each have a different Mega Evolution. This was another roadblock that I wanted to wait to get Mega Torterra before attempting, and I beat it deathless though, I'm the GOAT. Now Magma Hideout. I Magnet pulled yet another really good Steel type in Iron Treads, also known as Medium Tusk. This thing is a surprisingly high speed stat, especially compared to most other Steel types. Before getting to fight Maxie, admins Tabitha and Courtney challenged me to a back-to-back fight, each with 4 Mons of their own. Everything was going fine, and Flamigo was perfectly set up to KO the Mega Centiskorch, but for some reason this Psycho switched into Talonflame. Pardon me for thinking that none of the Pokemon in the back would want to take a Brave Bird from Flamigo. My bad. This recoil meant that Flamigo couldn't safely switch into Centiskorch and KO with Brave Bird without dying to its own recoil. But I didn't have another safe way out at this point, and I was forced to sack Flamigo. Their first and only fight. Rest easy, bird. Maxie, on the other hand, was a problem. A double battle consisting of Incineroar, the best Pokemon ever, Choice Specs Chi-Yu, Mega Camerupt, and Primal Groudon. If you ask me, I think being able to have a Mega and a Primal is a bit unfair, but nobody ever said Pokemon was supposed to be fair. This fight really showed Quaquaval's true potential though. Holding the White Herb, Quaquaval shook off the Incineroar lead's Intimidate while doubling its speed with 2 Aqua Steps. By the way, can we talk about this animation? This duck is pissing everywhere, and I know Maxie is not one bit happy about it. In the meantime, I set Slitherwing's HP IV to 0, so that both Hawlucha and Incineroar would see a KO with every roll of their respective moves, while clicking Protect. Now, double speed Quaquaval is cool and all, but does it really matter when Primal Groudon could hit the field and completely negate any and all water moves with its Desolate Land ability? That's where Golduck comes in, with the ability Cloud9 to completely ignore all weather conditions. From here, Regieleki can KO the Hawlucha with a Volt Switch, and Quaquaval can take care of Chi-Yu. Golduck takes the field, completely removing all weather as well as the Camerupt, Cacturne, and Groudon in the back. I was really proud of this strategy, to say the least. Seafloor Cavern Archie, on the other hand, was the inverse of Maxie, with Primal Kyogre and Rain rather than Sun. Rillaboom was the real star of the show here, with Bullet Seeds lighting up all of Archie's water types. Swift Swim Electros was the only mon that really posed a threat to Rillaboom, but not before the Gorilla took down 3 of Archie's squad. Lantern did a pretty good job at walling Primal Kyogre while getting a bit of damage off, but man, I really tried to let Lumineon get its hands dirty, or I guess its fins dirty, with Storm Drain, but it just pathetically swapped into a Thunderbolt and instantly died. This Pokemon sucks so bad, dude. I used Gyarados to bait in electric moves from both Pokemon to get Regieleki and Lantern back into play, which was the perfect plan to not only keep my team safe, but also KO Kyogre with a Transistor boosted Volt Switch. From here, Electros was no longer an issue and the fight was over. These 2 hooligans causing a ruckus in my Hoenn region? I don't think so, bozos. Get the hell out of here. There was a real danger looming in the distance though, something far more sinister and frightening than both Team Magma and Team Aqua. Introducing Elite Four Drake, who plans on capturing Rayquaza to truly take over the world by using Maxie and Archie as pawns for the rest of his master plan. This was one of the most overloaded fights I've ever seen in all of my years playing these difficulty ROM hacks. Lucario is able to ignore the Salamence lead's Intimidate with Inner Focus before Mega Evolving and taking it down with an Ice Punch, while Sandy Shocks obliterates the Magearna on the other side with an Earth Power. I expected Gouging Fire and Wet Tauros to swap in next, but immediately Rayquaza was staring me down. The plan was immediately off the rails. I decided to swap in Celesteela on the Sandy Shock slot and protect with Lucario, and then switch Lucario into Starmie. Starmie unfortunately gets targeted by both Pokemon and gets put in the red, while Celesteela fires off a somewhat middling Toxic into the Mega Pokemon. I'm forced to try and swing the momentum back in my favor, and decide to chance it by swapping Celesteela into Choice Scarf Regidrago, whose Dragon Energy still KOs Rayquaza even after the chip damage from Rock Slide. Having an 150 base power stab Dragon type move that is more powerful the higher HP you are is incredibly strong, especially with Regidrago's ability making it even stronger. With Rayquaza off the field, I can finally take a sigh of relief, but only for a short moment. The plan was still a bit off the rails, and I needed to find a way through this Tauros with Starmie at such a low HP. Tinkaton and Sandy Shocks swap in on Draco Meteor and Wave Crash respectively, and Sandy Shocks gets a massive defense boost thanks to Water Compaction. Fake Out finishes off Tauros, and Earth Power collapses the bridge, bringing in Gouging Fire, who is forced to take a second Earth Power from Sandy Shocks. What a steer. This was definitely the scariest fight since Norman, and getting through it deathless had me ecstatic. There really wasn't much left in the way of the Elite Four now. The world is saved. I guess that means we won't be seeing Drake in the Elite Four then. But before any of that, it's time to get the last badge and take care of Sinnoh's last gym leader, Volkner. Juan is changed from a water type gym leader to a fairy type specialist, and considering how many steel types I have, it should be no surprise that this fight was pretty free. Tentacruel walls Tapu Lele, Skeledirge makes Galarian Rapidash no issue with Unaware, which totally ignores the horse's Swords Dance, and Mega Slobra's Shell Armor ability makes the Ursaluna practically a non-factor. My favorite answer I had for this team, however, was Bulletproof Chestnut bodying Fluttermane, and becoming completely immune to Shadow Ball. It feels like my box is way too strong, and that nothing could stop me at this point. Golem's Magnet Pull has given me so much value throughout the run. Guarding the gates of Victory Road is not only a fight with Brendan, but a fight with Dawn as well. Dawn was easy as hell, as always, and this time I had Delphox to dismantle Brendan's Mega Blaziken. It seems like I can never really escape Mega Blaziken no matter what game I'm playing, but Delphox was the perfect counter. Volkner, on the other hand, looked a bit tougher, but I had the perfect counter to the almighty Miraidon that he led with. Quark Drive Iron Treads with a Choice Band was simply far too much for the box art legendary to handle, and a single Earthquake got the job done. Ruin Regus was a solid answer to Iron Hands, Meowscarada Sucker Punched Alolan Raichu into oblivion, Regirock took almost nothing from this Dodrio's Jump Kick. Wait, why does Volkner have a Dodrio anyway? Anyway, Torterra didn't need its Mega Form to take care of Zeraora, and Exploud was the perfect pivot with Soundproof to bring Iron Treads back in for free on the guaranteed Sludge Wave. Every single gym leader has been defeated at this point, all 8 from Hoenn, and all 8 from Sinnoh. Volkner even gave me an eject button, which is easily one of the single best items in the entire game. Oh, and I also fight Wally in Victory Road, but he is once again such a complete pushover, man. Not even Great Neck is enough to carry Wally past being a complete disappointment. The remaining trainers in Victory Road aren't trainers where you can turn off your brain completely, but they're definitely not hard necessarily. The only thing worth mentioning here is this insane Mabostiff with the ability Stakeout, which I almost never see get use. This thing did an insane amount of damage to my entire party, even doing this much damage to Regirock, a 200 base defense Pokemon. It was completely fine in the end, but this dog actually gave me a run for my money, even with all the steel types at my disposal. The last thing to do before the Elite Four was to get all the remaining encounters, and I purposefully left a bunch of routes open to try and catch a roaming legendary, which there are a lot of. All 3 legendary birds, the legendary beasts from Johto, Cresselia, the Swords of Ruin, including Keldeo, the genies, including Enamorus, and Calyrex for some reason. This took so unbelievably long. Like, this took me nearly 2 hours. Anyway, I caught Enamorus, Terrakion, and Articuno. 3 pretty solid Pokemon, I think, so I guess it was worth it. The box was looking insane. I was, however, a bit apprehensive about the Elite Four, especially since I didn't fully understand how the AI worked. I had a decent idea at why certain things happened, but when it comes to planning an Elite Four, it's so important to have things go exactly your way. Otherwise, things can derail so quickly. Not to mention that Sydney, Phoebe, and Glacia choose one of their 2 teams at random, meaning I have to plan for even more possible scenarios. I planned for a few days and ended up with a team that I was mostly happy with. Meowscarada. This Pokemon is downright unfair with Protean. It has such a wide move pool, it's incredibly fast, and does a boatload of damage. Melmetal. Gifted to me from Byron after beating him on Route 121. Give this guy an Assault Vest, and it feels impossible to get rid of it. Steel types are way too valuable to go without, and this felt like the best one for the job in my box. Primarina. So consistent at what it does. Draining Kiss and Encore as a core, with Flip Turn to flip momentum back in my favor. Low speed makes Flip Turn an incredible tool to have at my disposal, since it allows the rest of my team to come in for free. Ceruledge. You didn't think I could leave the MVP of the run off of the Elite Four team, did you? Flashfire and Sharpness provide a ton of diversity in playstyle, and considering Glacia has either a Sun or a Hail team depending on which side of the coin it lands on. Urshifu. The Dark-type variant gave Meowscarada a bit of leeway, and I mean, it's just such a versatile and powerful Pokemon. Really strong for the entire Elite Four. And finally, the Pokemon I'm most excited to use, Sandy Shocks. This Pokemon is simply so cool. I love special attack and ground types, and it's shocking how well this mon matches up into a lot of this Elite Four, especially if Glacia rolls the Sun team. Now, let's go over what we're up against. Sydney flips a coin between a Tailwind team and a Trick Room team, which is a bit of an issue considering those are 2 archetypes that are generally polar opposites to fight against. Phoebe's 2 teams were relatively similar, but the Mega Dusknoir in particular was a bit worrisome. That's one of the main reasons why Primarina is on the team, since he matches up quite well into the Dark and Ghost type Mega Evolution. Glacia is, like I mentioned before, either a Fire or Ice type specialist. Finding a team that worked for both of these was a challenge, but Ceruledge matched up really well here. Flashfire and Air Balloon was the only thing in my box that could safely check the Galarian Darmanitan that both of her teams had on it. That leaves the last of the 4, Cynthia. Replacing Drake, she's somehow even more of a demon than she is as a champion in Sinnoh. Thankfully, she only has 1 team as opposed to the rest of the Elite Four, but it's a horrifying one at that. Finally, Wallace and Steven battled the player in a double battle, both wielding the incredibly real and balanced Pokemon of Primal Dialga and Primal Palkia. If I'm being honest, the plan was to ball as hard as possible on this one and play as offensively as possible until one side is gone. That's it. This is the team. As much as I wanted to bring all 5 Reggies and Regigigas, that wasn't gonna work, unfortunately. I'm sorry, y'all. Welcome, Challenger. I'm Sydney of the Elite Four. I'll give you a piece of advice from what I've learned over my years here, and it's really quite simple. If you control the speed of the battle, you can control the outcome. And me, I control the speed to make it so I never lose. Good dialogue. I don't think I have any way of knowing which team this is until the first turn. I'm just gonna tell you guys right now, I'm really banking on this Moltres not being able to attack me. I'm fairly confident based on what I've noticed throughout playing the game and what Chape told me that this is guaranteed Tailwind or Trick Room if it doesn't see a kill, which it never does with Air Slash. Meowscarada is Protean. Please, 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 just show me Tailwind or Trick Room. Please, 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 please. I'm really banking on this here. Trust? Okay. Thank God. I was pretty sure, but not 100% sure. Okay, I'm gonna Sucker Punch. Nah, this is the easier one. This is Gen 6 Protean as well. Absol. Okay. That is what I thought. So this should always be CC. We're gonna go into Ceruledge. CC. Good. We're going to Urshifu on the Night Slash. Good. Okay, now, Mega Absol in this game is a Dark and Fairy type. Tailwind's down. My Urshifu has Choice Scarf. Close Combat doesn't quite kill because this is part Fairy. So I'm going to U-turn. Okay. This should be Play Rough. I think it could CC. No, it's always Play Rough. Okay. Good. This is always Night Slash again. We go back into Urshifu. All right, now Close Combat kills. I'm pretty sure this baits Grimmsnarl in. It's the only thing that outspeeds and sees a kill. So I think it's Grimmsnarl. I don't kill it. It kills me. It has a better type matchup into me. Okay, good, good, good. We go into Ceruledge. It should be Play Rough or Hammer Arm. Ideally, it's Hammer Arm. Or not Play Rough, Spirit Break. Yeah, same thing. This should be Darkest Lariat always. If this parting shots, I don't even really know what to say. We're going to go into Meowscarada. Good. Okay, yes. Now, that should be GG. I think I just speak from here. This Pokemon is insane. Gen 6 Protean is insane, yeah. And then all that's left is Monkey Dory, which I outspeed by 6 points in kill with knockoff. Okay, that's Sydney. Well, how do you like that? I lost. It was fun, so it doesn't matter. Oh, I'm Phoebe of the Elite Four. I did my training on Mount Pyre. While I trained, I gained the ability to commune with ghost-type Pokemon. But you know what else I learned while I was training? I learned how well ghost types are complemented by poison types. You have to adapt your style if you want to stay on top, don't you think? I love the custom dialogue in this game. It's fantastic. All right, so this team is Team 2. It has a Dragapult, a Mega Gengar, a Annihilape, a Pecharunt, and a Calyrex Shadow Rider, as well as a Drapion. Now. Yes, okay. I need Choice Band to kill this. My Urshifu has Choice Band. I was told that the AI, when switching in a Mon, if there's 2 Mons that come in, it goes back to front. So by that logic, I think this should go Gengar because it sees a fast kill on me and it's the last Mon in the party. If I'm wrong, I probably lose, but we'll see. No switch? Okay, good. This should die. Goodbye, friend. Show me Gengar, please. If that's how that works, that tells me so much about Glacia as well. Gengar, Gengar, Gengar. Yes! 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 Okay. Now, I see no reason why this would switch. There's no reason. This is just going to Mega Evolve and die. Goodbye. Now I think this is Calyrex. This should be Calyrex Shadow Rider. I think I get it. I think I get it. This thing has a Focus Sash. Otherwise, I'd be able to Sucker Punch it. We're going to go Prim on the Draining Kiss. Perfect. This is going to eject me out. And now we're going to go into Meowscarada. Okay. Interesting. Okay, thank you for letting me know. And now I'm going to Sucker. Okay. I can't believe it didn't switch at any point. Listen to this cry. That's the best cry of all time. This Pecharunt does not have Malignant Chain. It's the other one that does. I'm just going to attack, I think. This thing doesn't really do much damage to me. The only thing I'm worried about is Parting Shot into Annihilape, which boosts his Rage Fist by 2. But, like, I'm not threatened immediately by this. And I don't even know if it would go into Annihilape for sure. No Parting Shot's really good. And also no Switch is really nice. I think this kills. Listen to the cry, guys. It's so good. Good. Okay, it didn't bulk up. I'll take it. Rage Fist, it boosts its base power by 50 every time it gets hit. I'm slower. I could Encore. I'm not dead to crit right now. All right. No switch, ideally. Okay. Okay, no switch. The animation gets me every time. Rage Fist should be 100 base power now. This never kills. This still shouldn't do a lot. Sandy Shocks hits the field. Whoa, 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 whoa. How did that do so much damage? Well, still, I was never dead to crit. I think that's GG. All that's left is Drapion. I outspeed that as well. Whew, okay. That's Phoebe. I expected Drapion and Annihilape to be the last two, so this is all working out. Welcome, my name is Glacia of the Elite Four. I've traveled from afar to Hoenn so that I may hone my ice skills. But in my travels, I learned to expand my strategies beyond just ice types. You see, though I originally thought fire to be the complete opposite of ice, I learned that several ice types have fire type counterparts. This knowledge has expanded my skill set to now see how strong I have become. Now see how strong I have become with the power of fire and ice. I think I would rather have Sun. Both leads, it's a Ninetales. Either variant. Okay, Sun. I will say I think this team lets Sandy Shocks shine a little bit more. Now, Sandy Shocks has the ability Photosynthesis, which boosts your highest stat in Sun. But if it switches, I wouldn't be surprised. Yep, okay. Oh, man. All right. So, this is fine. Hisuian Decidueye has an ability in this game called Quill Rush. What it does is it boosts its power and speed by 20 and 50% respectively, but only on the first turn. Show me Leaf Blade. Good. This should eject me out. Ow. I couldn't protect there to get rid of the Quill Rush turn because I was choiced. No switch? Okay. That's what I was kind of worried about. Was this thing switching and getting multiple Quill Rush turns, but Darmanitan. This is a issue. This Pokemon was just disgusting in the builder. It's a threat. This thing is a threat. However, it only sees a kill with Flare Blitz, and I have Flash Fire. All right, now we also have an Air Balloon. I really, really, really hope this doesn't crit me. I get the boost again. Good. Don't crit me. Good. Good, 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 good. I have a Scarf outspeed. It didn't switch. Let's go. I actually have no idea what this baits. Maybe Zard? Or Sheeram. Interesting. Oh, I don't see a kill on this. That's right. That's right. That's right. I can't go into Cerulege because this thing has the ability Turbo Blaze, which is effectively Mold Breaker, just with a different name. Okay, ideally no crit here. I think the last Sun turn should be the next one. Okay, no crit is good. So Sun's up. I think if I protect, Sun will go down. Okay, it doesn't switch. I feel like this thing might end up switching, but I'm not sure. Sun goes down. Nice. Okay, good. This is... Prim was the last decided team member. This should kill. I'm going to go into Sandy Shocks. This is Mega Charizard Y. The Sun's going to go up and give me the Photosynthesis boost, which is going to make Full Switch do quite a bit more. It's going to do a lot more. Cerulege takes everything. Best case scenario at Flamethrowers. Worst case scenario at Air Slashes, but it can't Air Slash, so. Wait, what? Why? A prediction AI, I guess? I thought I couldn't Air Slash. Interesting. I mean, it doesn't super matter, I don't think. Should always be Air Slash here. Please? Please, 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 please. Yes, okay. Please don't crit me. Okay. Just kill him, I did. This is gonna Sludge Wave me. I don't know if this switches as well. No, there's no way it switches yet. Okay, Encore. Still active. It's not Flame Body. Encore's still up. Okay. Okay, all that's left is Ninetales. Sun is back up. This wants to Flamethrower me. Okay. I can't get burned. 132 is the max roll crit. Okay. This is going to do a lot because it's in Sun and Flash Fire boosted, and it's going to heal me. God damn. Holy smokes. Okay, I'm exactly in max roll crit range. I'm not going to risk it, though. Rip. I think we win. I'm in Torrent now, too, so I think this might just kill. Oh, not quite. Okay. Oh, my God. I'm glad I thought of the potential of it switching to the Sidgewai there. If I didn't have a planner for that, that would have been bad. Well, well, well. You must be a Squerk. I've heard a lot about you from Dawn, Steven, and Wallace. Dawn called me some time ago when that crisis broke out here in Hoenn, but you had already taken care of everything by the time I arrived. However, since I was here and since Drake fled after his plan failed, they asked me to stand in as the 4th Elite Four member temporarily. It's really quite unfortunate for you. You've already faced Drake separately, and now you're facing possibly the strongest Elite Four of any region. You know what they say, no good deed goes unpunished. Don't worry, though. I won't let my feelings of pity stop me from going all out against you. Get ready. By the time I'm through with you, I promise you'll wish it was Drake here instead. That dialogue is fire. Whoever wrote that should feel incredible. Banger! Let's go, baby. All right, so Spiritomb in this game has Intimidate. It's not going to be relevant in any capacity because I have a White Herb. The reason I have a White Herb, it didn't really matter, but the reason I have a White Herb is so that it can't Poltergeist me. And then we're going to go into Meowscarada here. This has a move called Dark Hole. Gross. And it can put me to sleep. And I have a Shasta Berry, though. I'm going to Play Rough. That's fine. So the Spiritomb is dead. I think this goes Zamazenta. What the dog doing? We're gonna go into Sarah Ledge here. So originally, the calc is wrong. It says this has Iron Head, which was such an issue for me in planning because it could flinch me. But it's actually Behemoth Bash, which is interesting. I'm going to Will-O-Wisp here. Yep, this doesn't matter that it's Iron Defense. Cool. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion this can switch to Garchomp or Heatran. I'm not entirely sure, though. But I'm going to Will-O-Wisp again. Oh my god, please be Garchomp. Oh. Okay, I don't know why I didn't think of this, but there goes the Sash. That's fine. Yeah, Cynthia has a Cramorant, by the way. I mean, the highest damage here is Surf. It should always be Surf as highest damage. Thank god, dude. Ow. Oh god. Ideally, it's Air Slash. Oh god, if this crits me, that's so bad. Okay, I'm getting pieced up by a bird. I have to just Volt Switch. Ow. What the? Well, Cram was a threat, so the fact that it's dead is good. This has Hidden Power Fire. Even if it Geomancies, yeah. Okay, this is a Power Herb Geomancy set. Very, very classic. HP Fire doesn't kill me with a crit. Because I'm Assault Vest. This animation's incredible. I haven't seen this since Unbound. Okay, doesn't switch. Okay, that's a pretty fun roll, actually. I'm at how much HP? Okay, perfect. I think this is gonna go Garchomp, most likely. Oh, wait. Yeah, should go Garchomp. Alright, I think it's Garchomp, which always is a kill with Earthquake. Oh, this is scary. Alright, our Prim is an Air Balloon. We're gonna go into Prim. Alright, this is Mega Garchomp. Mega Garchomp's buffed to have the same speed as regular Garchomp, because normally when it Mega Evolves, it loses some speed. But in this game, it doesn't. This should be Earthquake. Beautiful. Okay. And what's the worst that could happen? It clicks like Stone Edge. I'm not too worried. Okay. I have an idea. Okay, this is fine. I think this can still switch into Garchomp. I'm gonna try to abuse it. It doesn't, okay. It still could. Heatran, maybe? Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. This thing's Flash Fire. It's fine. Okay. Okay. It has an Air Balloon, so I can't Earth Power it. Crit is not... I don't think it really matters. Oh, God. Okay. Nice! Nice. Okay. We outspeed and kill this. This is not who I expected to kill the Heatran with, but Sandy Shocks. The Cramorant play paid off, so we don't need him anymore for this fight. Don't do it. Oh! It didn't Swords Dance, thank God. I think I just Encore again. Okay. Zamazenta. It's all good. This can Stone Edge. I have to. Okay, I'm dead to crit half the time. Come on, Sheepu, I need you. Okay, this is Earthquake or Scale Shot. It can't Stone Edge me. I'm not dead to crit. Melmetal, please, dude. I need this Encore to stay. I think it does, right? Ow. This should kill. Melmetal, you're a beast, man. This should kill. I'm Iron Fist. Good God, that was scary. I expected this to be the second easiest fight. I'm impressed, and that's saying something. It seems all the things I've heard about you were true after all. Holy. Welcome, Squerk. That instant is to Topless City. That was superb work, putting an end to that crisis all by yourself. Oops, it wouldn't be fair to say that you alone ended the crisis. You overcame that difficult situation by working as one with your Pokemon. Of course. Now, I'm sure you're wondering why I'm not alone here. Well, I just couldn't stand to be left out of all the fun. You see, I was the champion here at Hoenn before Wallace, but we've done some shifting around over the years. Then everything happened with Drake being evil, and we called in Cynthia, and it was starting to feel like everyone was going to get to face off against you, the strongest upcoming trainer we'd seen in a long time, except me. And I just couldn't sit back and stay on the sidelines, so I asked Wallace if just this once we could be co-champions to face off against you. And I said yes, so here we are. But enough talk for now. It's time for us to give you one final test, Squerk. It's time for us to have one last battle to see if you really are the strongest trainer in the Hoenn region. Okay, let's get it. Let's get it. This is a double battle with 2 Empoleons, a Primal Kyogre, no, sorry, a Primal Dialga and a Primal Palkia, whatever that is. We are going to close combat the one on the left. This should be the offensive Empoleon. I have a sneaking suspicion it could protect, but I'm not entirely sure. We're going to CC and protect. They are shiny. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful spray. Come on, dude. Oh, it didn't protect. Interesting. Goodbye. Goodbye, Empoleon. Palkia. All right. I'm going to just send a close combat into this Palkia. It might not target my Urshifu, but I'm going to send it. Nah, that looks sick. Good damage. Attack. Ceruledge. Beautiful. That's fine. That's good. 07 Ceruledge, you were amazing. That might matter, but we'll see. I'm just trying to sack stuff as best as I can. Ow. This is probably going to go Dialga. Yep. Okay. This is not going to do any damage, by the way. Look at this damage. This has the ability Primal Armor, so that super effective attacks do less. Decent chance that this uses a move that, like Aura Sphere on me, which I resist now. That doesn't kill. I guess I should have done knockoff. Okay. Rest in peace, Urshifu. Forgot about that. Crit would be nice. Okay. This should kill, I'm pretty sure. Good. Miss a range or something? This should kill it. Yes, let's go. Okay. Okay, please don't frostbite me, please. Yes! Okay, all that's left on the other side is Metagross. It's expected. Okay, it's encored into this now. Oh my god, this is Lightning Rod. That doesn't, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I didn't even think about the idea of it switching. That's kind of bad, actually. I don't know, man. I'm gonna lose.
5 hours later.
Yeah, I have to Earth Power you. Metagross should die here, right? Okay. Attack Melmetal, please. Yes! Please, 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 please give me a good roll. Drop, maybe? Okay, good. The issue is I can never kill the Suicune now. I think it's over. It's over, guys. I can't beat the Suicune now. If only I had Toxic. Maybe it can kill me with Scald, but it like misses a range. It looks like that could happen. It's over. Yeah, if I wasn't frostbitten, I probably potentially could have won this 1v1. That feels like complete and utter garbage. I'm so sad. I can't believe it switched. Like the switch. Wait, why did it heal me? Did it Scald? I'm back in this. And he doesn't want to Calm Mind because I have Encore. Interesting. I need to run him out of Air Slash. Fannin, bro, if you win this, you got permanent VIP. I don't know how much PP. Is it 15? Oh my god. Come on, bro. Come on. Come on, please. Come on. Yes. Come on, Brim, lock in. Come on. I don't know for sure that I win. I think I do, but I don't know for sure. He's out! He's out! I think. Wait, is he? Why did he Scald me before? Why did he Scald earlier? There was no overlap. I'm the GOAT! I'm the GOAT! I'm the GOAT! Bro, there's no way. How? Why did he Scald? I still don't know. Woo! What the hell was even that? What the hell was even that? Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video and like Nuzlocke, definitely consider subscribing. I have so many fun new videos planned for the rest of the year. I also stream nearly every day on Twitch, and I'm always Nuzlocking more games just like this one. Till next time.